Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Club Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic Sunday wherever we are around the world. And yeah, Liverpool have drawn by 2 goals each, of course, to Arsenal in again a game that we don't really care about. Let's be honest. But of course, I think a lot of the talking points, I think, is of course around give the obviously things that have happened off the pitch, really. Well, I say off the pitch, it is of course on the pitch, but you guys know what I mean. Is of course, obviously, I think everybody is talking about the Trent Alexander-Arnold booing, which I think a lot of people have really had their own voice upon. I would say, I think I've seen people say that they're right. Some people saying that they wouldn't boo Trent and obviously support everybody that wears the badge and so on as well. And I think obviously, of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But of course, we will talk about it. We'll talk about the game, of course, itself. And again, know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below, whether or not you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else. Of course, obviously, if you are watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and all of that good stuff, of course, anyway. But get into the chat saying I'm fuming at the second half performance. Can't blow a 2-0 lead to the biggest bottlers in the Premier League. Even had an extra man. I kind of get that. I'm like, there's two sides to me really about it. I'm like, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, do you know what? If it was in a normal situation, yeah, I would be fuming because Liverpool just, blew a 2-0 lead at home, really. And again, the second half, we was very much on the beach, wasn't we? We didn't really turn up in that second half until quite late on. But again, I kind of look at it and go, look, Liverpool were, we were on the beach, really. Liverpool, we don't really care. At the end of the day, Liverpool are Premier League champions. That's all we should care about, really. But then, of course, I think as everybody is absolutely right in that same conversation of, again, we did throw it, a lead away, which isn't good, anyway. But again, Jesus Christ. Hello, Anthony. I'm not going to read the first comment out, but hello, Anthony. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Leicester, for humbling not Forest as well. I wanted Forest to go in the Champions League. I'm not going to lie. I thought that would have been good for them anyway, because, of course, I don't want Chelsea going to the Champions League, even though we allowed that last week to happen anyway. But again, obviously, speaking mainly on the game, of course, obviously, like I said, blowing a 2-0 lead isn't great. And of course, with this being our mini preseason, because of course, obviously, I think the players fly out to Dubai a bit later on, of course, as well. So we're gonna have a full week's worth of warm weather training, which will be interesting, of course, and kind of, I think Slot then will get an idea of of his squad going into next season and who he can trust and who he can't trust. I think certainly this game, obviously Maka not starting against Chelsea, not starting again tonight. I think that's an inkling, maybe, of course, not so much, McAllister's going to get sold, of course, absolutely not. But obviously Slot maybe adjusting that position, really. And I do look at it and go, well, it will be interesting, I think, for next season to see how we do, obviously build up. Obviously Conor Bradley starting at right back, thought he had a decent first half, and then second half it did die off a little bit. I think his energy levels, I think obviously with him only just now coming back, I think maybe if this game was next week, we had a game in between, I think we would have seen a different performance from Conor Bradley during the second half. But I think, of course, first half, I thought he was pretty decent as well, and was a major factor in, Liverpool's got, Luis Diaz's goal, with him, breaking the lines and causing Liverpool to simply, break the lines again. And it brought a Salah ball into to Szoboszlai, and then Szoboszlai just easy tap across for Luis Diaz to score as well. And of course, that was Liverpool's second goal. It was the first goal. Cody Gakpo fuming at him that he didn't pass to Mo Salah, and then he ends up scoring an absolute wonder of a header as well, which was surprisingly, Andy Robertson's first assist of the season, I say a first assist, first Premier League assist of the season. Of course, I think he has one in the Champions League, but in terms of the Premier League, Andy Robertson only didn't even have one, which was a bit mental when I read that stat earlier. But look, at the end of the day, I think Robbo will take that, to be fair. But I think, of course, I think, as everybody has mentioned it just now, I do think, look, Liverpool should have won that game. We should have done. Arsenal, to be fair to them, and I will give them credit. They did come out in the second half. They did perform very, very well. I did think potentially, obviously with Liverpool being 2-0 up, I did think, look, we might have had. We might have had, the upper hand, in terms of, again, Liverpool might not be at 100% going into the second half. But again, Arsenal's heads will be dropped because, of course, obviously what happened midweek. But that was the complete opposite, really. And they did come at us. And look, probably a draw is a fair result in the end. But I would say I think Liverpool in the first half, I think, were better. And again, for about 20 minutes, I would say, after, or like 15-20 minutes into the second half, I thought Arsenal were the better team. And then, going obviously more towards the end of the game, I thought Liverpool were the better team, obviously because of the red card, and obviously Arsenal trying to hang on to a draw, of course, which is their 14th of the season, which, again, that's the reason that's cost them a league title, really, in my opinion, anyway. But look, at the end of the day, But it will be interesting anyway. Hang on a minute, chat. No, that's nothing. But yeah, again, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Well, nice to see Anthony's had a nice evening anyway. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Leicester, for humbling Notts Forest. Champions League, you effed it up. Yeah, absolutely. Forest have absolutely buggered it up, haven't they? But that also says Robbo should have scored his chance before the last second corner. Yeah, look, Robbo had 3 or 4 really good opportunities, didn't he, to win Liverpool the game, and didn't take them, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that is definitely a position Liverpool are going to upgrade upon, aren't they? In the summer, hopefully. Anyway, but Jones should have been put right back, if anything. Of course. And Cal also saying 3 years without beating Arsenal in the Prem. Last time we beat them, Marnie was here. Is that true? That's mad if that is true. Anyway, but look, I don't know. Who cares? Liverpool are Premier League champions. That's the only thing I care about. Anyway, but we will get onto it then. We will talk about the elephant in the room, about Trent Alexander-Arnold getting booed. Look, this is my opinion, and again, look, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I've already seen a few people, disagreeing with certain things. In my opinion, if I was in the ground, I would also boo him. And I think, look, I think you're right. I think both sides are right. I've seen people say, "Oh, you should never boo him," this, that, and the other. I think it's the emotion behind it. I think it's obviously everything that's come out this week about obviously him confirming he's leaving, and of course going to Real Madrid, who are a European rival. They are a European rival, and I also think it's that sense of the fact that Liverpool are currently top of the league, top of the Premier League, fighting on all fronts, and Trent doesn't want to stay to that, really. I think that's kind of where people are fuming and angry about it. And like I've seen some people say, like, "Oh, look, you should never boo anyone that wears the shirt and this, that, and the other." I think to some sense I would agree with that, but also I think it's just the emotion around the Trent situation. I think everybody has just expressed their honest opinion, really. And I think obviously Arne Slot spoke about it, didn't he, in terms of, again, everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. I think everybody is disappointed in Trent, and of course they let him know that. And I think now does it come to the question of should have Arne Slot of even picked him in the squad? I think that's another question mark, really. Of course, he being very open that Conor Bradley will most likely start every game now from now until the end of the season. But it's that sense of, is he going to use Trent as much as what he would normally do, and of course that's no, really. And of course I think if Trent had signed a new contract, of course we're not going to start Conor Bradley against Arsenal. We're going to firmly start Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think obviously now it's right that we start Conor Bradley, because again, today is great experience for Conor Bradley starting in a big game against Arsenal. Of course, the rumours are flying around that we're going to go and sign Jeremy Frimpong. But with me saying that as well, it's also, again, a massive learning curve to have Conor Bradley ready for next season. And it's rare, the fact that Liverpool got 3 or 4 games to get him prepared for next season before we even think about pre-season as well. But I think on the booing, of course, that was the major turning point in the game. And I think the crowd also felt that. Of course, him coming on, and obviously everybody expressing their thoughts on the Trent situation. And of course, I think the atmosphere then changed massively. I think after that, I think everybody, obviously everyone was singing the Steven Gerrard chant. Then, of course, it changed. And there's only one Conor Bradley, and then the boos started again. And I think it kind of did put the atmosphere down quite a lot, really. And that just wasn't great. Let's be perfectly honest, it wasn't great. But look, I think again, nobody should be telling people what to do or what to say either. And I've said it right here, right now. If I was in the ground, I would have booed today. I would have done, because I feel like Trent has gone behind everything he used to stand for, in terms of, again, saying Liverpool was the club for him, saying that Liverpool, was this and that, and, going behind, and if the rumours are true that, again, he's been in consistent conversation with Real Madrid to wind his contract down, that for me is the big one, and again, it's not necessarily the money side of things either. It's just the fact that he doesn't think Liverpool are the best option out there, in terms of, again, the club that he wants to, again, number one, stay at, and B, progress even more at, and as well, not even to then, instead of saying to Liverpool a year ago, oh, I'm gonna leave the football club, you might want to try and get a transfer fee for me, or this, that, and the other. It's like, no, you're going to run your contract down the entire year. You have the idea of that you're going to go to Real Madrid, and because they've told you, we're not going to come for you unless you leave on a free. That's the big one. And it's also the big one as well, the fact that the rumours of him having conversations with Real Madrid going as far back to 2023 while Jurgen Klopp was still here, that for me is also the other one where I look at it and go, like, you just are a rat, you are a snake, and that is not the morals that you grew up with. That's not that's not the young player that wanted and joined Liverpool Football Club. That is now the player that has such a big head and big mind that you literally in your own mind, you've outgrown the club, really, or in your own head you thought, I'm bigger than the club, and you're not. Nobody's bigger than the football club, really. And that's just my opinion anyway, because again, I know plenty of people will have their own, and I think as well, in the ground, I think it did get a bit nasty as well, along with other supporters, just judging from and listening to a couple of people as well anyway. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts on, of course, the Trent situation, and of course the game itself anyway. But Rosa says, any idea why Chiesa won't even be on the bench? Again, Slot doesn't rate him, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame, to be fair. But again, the Chiesa chant that's gone around at the minute is absolute belter. as well, which again, hopefully he stays next season just for that. But Arsenal fans, given this draw, the big one, just give them a wee draw at Anfield trophy for F's sake as well. Big up Ian as well, saying no dressing this up. 5 points dropped since winning the league means nothing. Disappointing. Disappointing nevertheless. Yeah, like again, like obviously now Liverpool can't get above 90 points. I think the most we can get is 89. Really, again, I'm not asked about that, about being honest. The only thing I care about is the fact that we've got the Champions logo next to us. But I kind of get that though as well. I think today we just didn't really, like, we were good first half. Like, I think like the first 5-10 minutes were poor, I think, for both teams. I think the rest then Liverpool were way better than Arsenal. I felt like we could have killed them off, in that first half. And then second half, yeah, we completely not fell apart, but we were on the beach with it, wasn't we? And look, I'm not asked really, look, if we're talking about this next season and the 2-2 draw costs us from winning the league title, then I'd be fuming and angry, really. But look, at the end of the day, I think we are just we're on the beach because look, Liverpool didn't, we didn't turn up, did we, until Thursday for training, and even this week coming up, Liverpool, we're out in Dubai, so when you look at things like that, we are pretty much on the beach. Really, I'm thinking ahead to next season. To be fair, anyway. But big up Doug as well, saying I don't like booing. I don't like booing our own players. Trent simply shouldn't have come on, in my opinion. But it's wrong to boo. Everyone has their own opinion. But this whole situation has been dealt really badly. Yeah, kind of. Like I said, I like, in my opinion, I think, look, if I was at the ground, I would have booed him. Really, and I think that's what people. I think the initial booing, I think, is fine. I think the consistent booing, I think that was a bit much, really, and I do. I think you can express your opinion there and then, but then again, you get straight back to supporting the team, and getting the team 3 points, really. But obviously the consistent boos, and I think obviously after the game as well, when Trent went to the cop and applauded, I think there was a lot of boos there and then as well, which I think, again, I think a few players then went towards Trent and was like, no, come on, like, show appreciation and show support towards Trent, which I think, and I kind of look at it and go, yeah, like that's a bit much, really. But look, obviously different people have different opinions anyway. But in terms of my opinion, I think I would have booed him if I was in the ground as well. But only when he came on. Everything else, no, I wouldn't have done. I'm actually angry at so-called accounts on X turning on a slot after the game. Really, like, who's that, Doug? Call them out, Doug. Anyway, hang on, I'm just double checking something anyway. But yeah, I think now that is probably an indication though as well what you do actually do with Trent now for the rest of the season. Like, I think away next week, I don't think you play him really, or if you need to adjust. Again, you've got Jarell Conde on the bench, play him right back, if you need to. Even though I'm fully against that, but yeah, you guys know what I mean. But I think at Anfield again, in the last game of the season against Palace, again, I wouldn't have him anywhere near the team. Liverpool players going to Dubai after this game too. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, warm weather training for the week. Anyway, I think they're away from tonight until I think Thursday again, which look, will be good in some ways as well. But at the end of the day, well, that's all we care about is no injuries. Fingers crossed. Anyway. But yeah, and of course, that is the big thing to take away from it, isn't it? Is the fact that again, just I think everybody's emotion after the games, even looking at some things now, looking at a post here saying whether you agree with the booing or not, I personally wouldn't, but fully think people are entitled to their opinion. I think that's the right way to talk about it anyway. But again, because even Paul Joyce, Paul Joyce said, Trent has made his decision, and these are the consequences that has come to this. However, it's sad. It's sad to see his career and once which threatened to overshadow the rest of the season. Which, yeah, it does. And this is why they shouldn't have announced it now as well. That's the other thing. They should have announced it after the season, and they should have done. But we know the reason why it being brought up now is because Madrid are trying to negotiate with Liverpool about the Club World Cup, and that's the problem, where Liverpool are in this position. Of course, Liverpool want, I think, around, was it £1 million? I think it is a week, £1 million a week, £1 million for Trent, and again, Madrid, I think, apparently are trying to hold out for it. Again, I don't really see, there being too much problem there. But even still, I think overall, it should have been done at the end of the season, and we wouldn't be talking about this now, probably. Anyway, but again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments as well, because I think, look, just be going back on the game, I think, of course, obviously, some people will go, it's disappointing the fact Liverpool drew. I kind of look at it and I'm like, I'm just not asked. Really, I think it should just be a massive party from now until the end of the season. And I think obviously a lot of people was like a bit mixed opinion because obviously what happened, but I kind of look at it as well and like, look, just celebrate the fact Liverpool are going to win a league title as well, and just forget about the whole Trent stuff. Like, we'll move on. Like, Liverpool already thinking about bringing in Frimpong or whoever else, if it's Van der Sar as well. So like, Liverpool will move on, and I think, look, it will be interesting anyway. But I'm still buying £20 during the parade Liverpool card, hopefully, or Zan anyway. But yeah, I kind of look at it and go, look, the overall result I'm all good with, but obviously the Trent booing thing, it's kind of a sticky situation, really. Anyway, but look, let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'm very intrigued to know all of your guys' thoughts down in the comments section down below, of course, anyway. But yeah, I think we're going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Obviously, a big thank you for everyone for tuning in. I think, look, the overall consensus is, look, Liverpool Premier League champions. I don't really care about anything else. And I think everybody else should have that mentality, really. But of course, obviously, there's a lot of emotion around the Trent Alexander-Arnold stuff anyway. But look, hopefully you guys have a fantastic rest of your days anyway. Obviously, make sure you are staying tuned to the channel, because, of course, we will have Arne Slot's post-match reaction, of course, on the channel a bit later on. So obviously make sure you are subscribed for that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another episode tomorrow. Yeah, maybe talking a bit more about this game, but of course, any bit of news, of course, we'll bring it to you guys anyway. But yeah, I've been Connor from the Cop Council. We'll see you guys later on. Ta-ra.